Hola, hola. Bonjour. How are you doing? Nice. Tac, tac, tac. Um, listen again. Mm, uh, Nico. Tac, I sent it. I think it's a really, really cool topic. Shady, do you have any clone? Are you cloning yourself?
Yeah, Sorin, I am also wondering what happened.
Cool. Tuk, tuk, tuk. Mm.
Hi.
GM, GM. Coucou Nico. Bonjour Nico. We can see
GM,
background. Ah,
GM.
yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Zoom was taking a bit to load. How are you doing?
Ah, doing
How's
great.
everyone doing?
Just end up a session of 2 hours with the new fellow, and they will be onboarding from tomorrow. So yeah, actually, I wanted to run this session because also internally we are introducing a masterclass, which is chill thing. Just really, the goal is to learn about specific topic with an expert. So yeah, that's why I wanted to start with Octane. So some are interested by DeFi, by the way, so that's cool. Like
Amazing.
those who are there are really deep in DeFi, so yes, yes.
Nice.
Um,
Love to see it.
we can wait like 2 minutes if you want, and then we can start. As I mentioned, it's like an internal session, so people come if it's like interesting for them. So yeah. And
Sounds good.
so what you said that you will do a presentation, and then after that we will have a Q&A. If we have any question, all right, nice. Okay, okay,
Yeah, it should be a rather short presentation, so
okay.
hope it's not too much after the 2 hour session. So it should be quite chill. That's cool.
No, it's just me who who finished the 2 hour session. Other, I think
Oh, I
it's
see.
okay. Yes, yes, yes. Um, all
Great.
right. Um, yeah, I think we can start if you want. Um, it's more like yeah, quick presentation with more discussion after for those who
Sounds
want to
good.
deep dive.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Let me
Thanks for
start the
coming.
presentation here. Thank you for inviting. All right. Let's see.
Also, it's recorded. So our masterclass, I will put it on Twitter on YouTube, and yeah, also do a Twitter post about it.
Nice. Sounds good. Whoops. There we go. Cool. So let's get started. Great to see a few people here, some familiar faces. So great to see you all. I'm Nico Gallardo. I'm doing community at Octant at the moment. In the past, I've been a founder of a few Web3 projects, mainly related to community tooling and applications. But I've also been quite an active um, community uh, builder, I guess. I had a community in Amsterdam where I used to live called Web3 Lab. And I also started Ethereum Bolivia together with a few other people. So, yeah, that's a little bit about my background. And yes, I mentioned I'm working at Octant now. And for those who don't know, we're gonna figure out today what Octant is doing, and hopefully on the way also learn a little bit about um, what Octant used to be, what it was related to, that's public goods, and where it's moving towards, that is more DeFi and using DeFi for impact and growth. That's what the presentation today is going to be about. Feel free to drop any questions or so in the chat here. I will be taking a look at that. Um, but if not, we'll also have a sort of Q&A at the end if you have any questions. So yeah, first of all, I want to start with a bit of history about Octant V1. Octant V1 was created by the Golem Foundation. The Golem Foundation was an old project that raised a lot of ETH during the ICO era. And after doing a few experiments with stuff to build that didn't go as planned, they decided to stake 100,000 ETH and use the yield to do three things. The first one is to reward GLM lockers. That is, GLM is the Golem token. Then another portion would go to a matching fund to fund, let's say, public goods, to fund projects. And the third part would go to run the operations and growth of Octant itself. So this is for you to picture how Octant V1 used to work, because it is relevant on how Octant V2 is going to work, and also maybe to give a little bit of context. The mission of Octant was to figure out a way to make public goods sustainable. And public goods, the definition is always very debated. So if you want to talk about that, we can also do that. But mainly, public goods are those things that are available for everyone, basically. Mostly without any cost or without having to compete, let's say, for that good, let's say. So um, air is probably like the most classic example. Like you can use air, but everyone else can use air, right? But in the digital realm, we talk more about open source software, and even the Ethereum network itself could be called a public good. And any sort of education, a lot of what Dev3 Pack does is for sure considered a public good. So there's been a few projects that have been trying to fund public goods. Probably the most known is Gitcoin, who has done a bunch of experiments, but it's always really hard to find sustainability there. And that's what Golem was trying to do with Octant. And this is the model they came up with for the first version of it. That was Golem Foundation would stake ETH, the 100,000 ETH, and the rewards would go to these two buckets that I mentioned, that you can see here. They would go to the Octant users that lock their GLM, and the other part goes to a fund that will go to these public goods projects. And the way this fund is allocated or distributed is by allowing the Octant users to either, when they claim their rewards, they can either withdraw it to their wallet or they can donate to specific projects. And if they donate to specific projects, then through the fund that is created, the amount that these projects receive would be multiplied by a lot, sometimes by 100x or 500x, sometimes depending on how much it is, right? That evens out throughout the epoch. And I think last epoch we had a multiplier of around 70x in
Probably
average.
if you can just clarify what's an epoch.
Oh yeah, sorry. An epoch is like a funding round. So every 3 months, well, that's gonna change now, but we used to organize a round of funding where the people who locked GLM could allocate and vote for the projects. And each epoch, each round has different projects most of the time. Sometimes they are repeated. There are a few projects uh, that come often, and that's something we're gonna see in a second. Um, but yeah, so in total, we've had now 11 funding epochs, actually. Each epoch had between 10 and 30 projects, and we've had 126 unique projects that have been funded, and more than $10 million dollars in ETH that was distributed to them, and around 5 million that went as rewards to users. And these are some of the public goods projects that have been funded through Octant rounds. Maybe some of you are familiar with some of these logos. Protocol Guild, this PG here, they basically fund protocol researchers and developers, like Ethereum core protocol researchers and developers. Then we have L2Bit that gives metrics and analytics about layer twos. We have HyperSearch that help measure and certify impact. We have Tor browser that allows you to browse the internet privately. Very important now in a lot of places where there's like a bunch of crises, like Iran, for example, apparently is using it a lot nowadays. Revoke Cash, ECH Institute that help steward a little bit the conversation around the upgrades, the Ethereum upgrades, and the EIPs. Rodkey funding the Commons, ETH Staker, Open Source Observer, really a bunch of public goods projects that were funded through this in the past. But so we were on the path to making public goods sustainable because, well, this yield that comes from staking is not really gonna dry up, right? Like Ethereum still gonna pay ETH if you stake, if you secure the network. So we thought, how can we enable other Ethereum aligned ecosystems to grow the same way or to fund themselves the same way we've been funding Ethereum public goods? And so we found out that there's a lot of ecosystems that have their treasury sitting idle without any use. They normally have grants programs, but they're quite inefficient, and we've seen like a downturn in grants programs because of this reason. Like they realize it's not really efficient. They have to burn their treasuries to sustain it. So the growth is not really growing. So growth stalls while funding stays unsustainable. And at the same time, we as an industry, we are quite mature in terms of DeFi tools that are available, and also allocation mechanisms and tools that have been developed in the past. So at Octant, we decided to leverage yield generating strategies, so DeFi, to fund grants programs, and that way fund ecosystems without burning or exhausting their treasuries, and with the flexibility to decide how to allocate those funds. So utilizing multiple of these allocation mechanisms. So the decision after V1 was to protocolize Octant as an ecosystem growth engine. And this is how Octant V2 works in a nutshell. It's basically, as I mentioned earlier, like protocolizing V1. So that means allowing other treasuries, other ecosystems to generate yield and distribute that yield to their projects so that they can keep growing. So the way it works is you have a DAO or foundation, and you put your treasury into an Octant vault. This money can be withdrawn at any time. So if you need the money for whatever reason, then you can withdraw it. And you can use any DeFi strategy to generate yield. And then once the yield is generated, you can use any allocation mechanism That can be quadratic funding, committee vote. We're experimenting with streaming quadratic funding. I'm gonna dive into these things in a second, in case some of you are not familiar with what they mean. Um, but you can use any of these allocation mechanisms to distribute the yield that's been generated into your ecosystem projects. So the funds keep being built, keep growing because of the DeFi strategies, and your principal investment doesn't burn basically. So it's a very sustainable mechanism to grow your ecosystem. At the same time, we're working on something we call the Ethereum Sustainability Fund, rebrand pending. We're probably gonna change the name. But the idea is that some of the projects that utilize Octant V2 can donate part of the yield that they generate to fund Ethereum public goods the same way we have been doing in the past. And they can decide on what gets funded based on how much they contribute, basically. So Octant V2, what it does basically is connecting capital accumulation and capital allocation and engage community members to shape how ecosystem growth, how their ecosystem grows. And that's through the allocation mechanisms that sometimes are very community centric, like quadratic funding. Again, we're gonna double click on that in a second. And yeah, it allows also ecosystems to use their tokens for different things. So um, let's see. Yeah, so Octant V2 is basically putting together capital formation with capital allocation and generating sustainable growth that way, sprinkled with a little bit of Ethereum alignment. And now let's double click on the two aspects that make up Octant V2. One is the capital formation side of things, and the other one is going to be the capital allocation side of things. So yeah, now let's talk about the capital formation via DeFi and with what we call vaults. Yearn, who here is familiar with Yearn?
I know, but it's like a protocol among other protocol too.
Yeah, exactly. And I see a question from Vilma that is asking, Octant vaults are strategies made through smart contracts for generating yield, and that is exactly right. What a vault allows you to do is to aggregate multiple strategies into a single thing. Let's say that you can just deposit money into it, and then it will generate yield from these different DeFi strategies, from these different yield sources. So the advantage here is that it can be connected to many different strategies simultaneously. The only caveat here that is quite important, and a lot of people don't understand well, or like don't see it well, is that the only constraint for this vault is that it has to be the same asset. So let's say you cannot in a vault you cannot have like a DeFi strategy with both ETH and USDC, for example, that generates yields. You can only use USDC, and maybe the strategy is putting USDC in Aave and USDC in Balancer, and use the yield from that to do it. So that is something maybe worth mentioning. And what we did to Yearn is that normally when you if you use Yearn, if you generate yield, it goes automatically to the depositor address, right? However, with Octant, what we did is that you can distribute the yield anywhere and however with any mechanism you want. So that's ideal for anybody who wants to, let's say, donate the yield while keeping their treasury. Exactly our use case. And That way, the principal is protected, only the depositor can withdraw, while the yield flow is managed transparently and securely by whoever the depositor or the administrator decides to give permissions. I want to show you. I want to show you how this looks like, actually. Let's see. I think we can go here. So the way you connect is through, is it this one? Let's see. Can you see?
Yeah. Safe.
Okay.
Wallet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it works through Safe because like the treasuries are mostly managed on Safe, and you can add this custom application to Safe to use Octant vaults. And let's see how this works. Um, right now, like it's this is the DeFi part, right? So it's relatively easy to use. We only have two strategies, but are actively working on implementing more. So if you go to one of the strategies, as you can see, I don't have any vaults, any strategies yet, and this one pays me 5.77% APY. And what I can do is just deploy a strategy, give it a name. Um, Here is the address where I want. So what I want to fund with the yield. So here, eventually, you will be able to connect, let's say, a quadratic funding round. But now it's just like you can just add a list of addresses and you see and do different allocations to the different addresses. I don't know. This is Protocol Guild. This is Rotkey. This is Dev3 Pack.
So
Let's
it's
say.
like when a foundation, for example, want to create a strategy, or
Yeah, exactly. So the foundation picks the strategy. In this case, it's USDS, and then it picks where they want to allocate the yield to. So the allocation part they can choose here as well. Um, this is like a very vanilla kind of super simple allocation mechanism that is like the yield is generated and it's split, let's say 51% to Death Pack, 18% to Rodkey and Protocol Guild, and that's it. But what we're working on now is that you can plug a quadratic funding round, and then this split can change and can be a lot more dynamic, let's say. And yeah, then you save the configuration. I don't have the addresses now, but you can do that, and then you will deploy the strategy. You can deposit the funds into the strategy, and then once you do that, you will be the yield that's generated will be distributed to those addresses basically. So yeah, that's basically how the DeFi side of things um, works. Let's go back to the presentation here. And now let's take a look at the second part. Oops, my camera is being weird. That is the capital allocation side of things, where you can use any allocation mechanism to distribute the funds, right? As I mentioned earlier. The splitter is what you saw there, where the yield is distributed to this splitter contract. And this splitter contract decides where the yield is directed to. And what's also interesting is that maybe you want to generate some of the yield for yourself, right? So maybe you want to say, okay, I want to generate 50% of the yield and direct it back to me, and 50% I want to donate it to, I don't know, some project or to contribute to a quadratic funding round. And then the splitter contract is going to do that automatically for you. And well, the admin who creates the strategy is going to decide what the splitter contract does. And as I mentioned earlier, it can be to distribution to one or multiple addresses, like we saw in the short demo there, or it can be to an allocation mechanism. And what we mean by allocation mechanisms is there are multiple. The more let's say, popular one in Web3, I would say, is quadratic funding. I'm curious how many of you here are familiar with quadratic funding. I don't know if there's a way to drop an emoji. Okay, I see one or two hands, few of them. Cool. For the rest, let me explain what quadratic funding is. Basically, it's quite similar to what I was explaining at the beginning. There is a matching fund that is going to be allocated based on individual donations. So let's say right now we set up a $1,000 fund, and we ask each of you here in the call to donate to, let's say there are 5 projects that you can donate to. And each of you is gonna make a donation. Let's say some of you donate $1, some of you donate $10, some of you whatever amount. And the projects are gonna receive funding based on a mix of like how much money you donate, but also the more important aspect is how many different people donate to that project. So let's say if one project receives a $100 donation from only one person, while the other receives $100 donation as well, but each of us donates like a portion of that. Let's say, I don't know how many are we like, let's say $10 each. Then the project that received the money from the largest amount of people is going to receive a larger portion of the matching fund, although the amount that was donated was the same, right? So in this case, you can think of money as a vote, but it's not like a plutocratic vote because it gets modified with this quadratic formula. I know this is a little bit complex, so if that wasn't clear, please let me know. I can try to explain it in a different way.
Maybe
Or if you have any clarifying questions.
I remember last time some voted for a git around about privacy, and DevTupac ended up as the first project there, and so it was like quality funding typically. So when
Nice.
yeah, so they use it, but they probably didn't know that behind that it was a quadratic funding.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So probably Dev3 Pack was on the first place because it got donations from the largest amount of people versus other projects that maybe didn't
Yeah.
maybe receive like the same amount of money in terms of donations, but not from so many people, right? All right. I see one question from Julia here. What are other DeFi strategies are you planning to add? Does Octanvault act as a router towards the chosen strategy? Good question. So the beauty of, well, Web3 in general is that everything is super composable. So as I mentioned earlier, we modeled our own protocol based on Yearn v3. So it's basically a Yearn v3 fork, and that uses an ERC called 4626 that is a vault that is called the vault standard. So any vault is compatible with anything. So if you want to like incorporate any of those vault strategies into Octant, you can do that. So answering your second question, it can be used as a router towards any existing strategy that is out there, but we're working on implementing our own strategies as well. And indeed, like the vaults are sort of routers, like they just incorporate the different DeFi protocols into the single vault. I hope I answered your question, Julia, there. And for the first one, we are looking into a bunch of strategies, mostly with stablecoins and with ETH. And they're gonna be using mainly like the more battle tested protocols, like I mean some of the ones that we've seen already, Morpho, Sky or MakerDAO, Aave, etc. So yeah, stable coins and ETH primarily, at least at the beginning. Yeah, some of the other allocation mechanisms, I don't want to go too deep into this, but we have quadratic voting. Quadratic voting, instead of you donating money from your own pocket, you receive sort of credits or votes, and then you can allocate the votes amongst the projects, and the same happens. The projects that receive votes from the largest amount of people are going to receive more funding versus the ones that receive maybe the same amount of votes, but from less people. And we're experimenting, and this is the other thing I want to show you, with something that we call streaming quadratic funding or streaming quadratic voting. The interesting thing, so quadratic funding and quadratic voting, works the same as Octant V1 by epochs or by rounds. So there's a clear end to it. Once the money is allocated, it finishes. What we're doing with streaming quadratic funding and streaming quadratic voting is that you can continuously vote and allocate based on updates and stuff like that, and the money is gonna be continuously being dropped to the projects, so it can be an infinite loop, let's say. And we're running an experiment. I don't know if some of you are GLM lockers already or have been to our booth in Buenos Aires. You can participate in this experiment. Let me share my screen again. I like the other tab here. Streamboat. Cool. So let me share the link here, because in case you're a locker already, you can allocate some money here. So let me connect my wallet. Cool. Yeah, so these are the projects that are available to receive funding, as you can see. And as you can see here, the total funded is continuously growing because this is continuously dripping to these projects. You can see the number going up here continuously. And you can see, let's check the ballot. Where's the ballot? Here. So as you can see, and this is a really good way to picture, in general, quadratic funding. Here I have made my allocations based on my credits. I think I had 100 credits, and we can restart it. Here it shows how the quadratic formula works, because one vote is going to cost 1, but if I want to allocate 2 votes to one project, it's already costing me 4. If I want to allocate 3 votes, it's costing me 9, and so on. So that keeps growing, and that way you can allocate to different projects. And as you can see, the more you vote for a project, the less each vote is gonna be worth. So let's do something like this: Protocol Guild, Shutter. I still have 3 votes, but I cannot allocate them anywhere. And then confirm allocation, and then you sign. But hopefully that gave you a bit of an idea of how this works. If you go to the website, there's also an explainer there that might help you understand better.
It's only for people who have been whitelisted after Buenos Aires?
Yeah, exactly. So anybody who had GLM locked, or who collected the POAP in at our booth in Buenos Aires. Um, I think you should still be able to explore a little bit even without the only by connecting your wallet, but I'm not sure about that. But
I've been trying, but I'm not sure it was working yet.
oh damn. Um, yeah, please if it doesn't work and you had one of those requirements, let me know and we're happy to troubleshoot. Um, so yeah, that is let me change the screen again. That is that other allocation mechanism that we've been experimenting with. And there's also some more traditional allocation mechanisms like direct voting or having a committee decide where the allocation goes. And there's also some less explored mechanisms that are quite interesting. If you're interested, here are some names: conviction voting, pairwise ranking. And yeah, that's basically the presentation that I wanted to give you. Please DM me. This QR code should direct to my Telegram. DM me if you are keen to build more DeFi strategies or if you know a project that might be willing to use vaults to generate yield and direct to people or other projects in their ecosystems, or anything on this list. We're always happy to engage the community. And yeah, I don't know if you want to double click on some topics or have any questions. Happy to have a short discussion here.
But by the way, to let you know, this year we will have two bootcamp, two DeFi bootcamp. So like this, we can train more DeFi builders. So which is nice. Yeah. On my side, more,
Love
I
it.
have a question about the selection. Like on which criteria? Is it also you doing a selection, or like who
Yeah.
is the process?
So we've also been experimenting in V1. We've been experimenting with how we pick the projects. Um, in V2, it's going to be up to the ecosystems that participate in the vaults to decide how they want to fund their ecosystems, how they want to fund the projects. We're still going to run rounds ourselves, but we haven't really decided on how the decision is made. We did an experiment for the stream vote. The selection was using broad listening. That's a tool to kind of like have a very long list of projects that are open source, and then like based on multiple criteria, just reducing it to, in the end, we had, I don't know, I think 15 projects or something in the stream vote round. So it varies a lot. Sometimes we've had a committee. Sometimes we've had the Ethereum Foundation decide. Um, we used to have a snapshot vote to that where you could also participate and decide which project gets funded and so on. So uh it's gonna vary a lot. Like we're gonna be experimenting a lot in the upcoming rounds.
Cool. But by the way, someone from DevTupac is right now working on the funding coordination for Ethereum Foundation team.
Oh, sick. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Love to hear that.
Yes, yes.
So who is that?
I can say
Eliza?
no.
Oh no, I don't know.
I can
Okay,
say it
cool.
for the moment.
Oh, I see. I guess we'll figure it out soon, but that's awesome news. I mean, we're working very closely with them. Um,
Yeah,
so
I can
probably
imagine
we'll hear
because
from
it's
them.
very Ethereum aligned. So normal,
Exactly.
right? Do you have any question on your side about everything that has been explained? Something good is about the visualization when you allocate things, because it's it's super complicated to allocate without any visibility sometimes when you are new to this kind of of things, of course. So yeah, that's a nice thing. Thanks for all the demo around it.
Nice, thank you. I will let our designer know. He's also the illustrator who comes up with all these crazy illustrations and stuff. Um, Very skilled guy. So really appreciate it. Is there any way to be onboarded for using the vaults? Yeah, let me. So you can DM me on Telegram and I can walk you through, or I can um, bring someone in the team to do that. Uh, and this link should work. There you go. Thank you, Vilma.
Um, no more question. Maybe there are also shy. No reason, no stupid question, etc. I know it's a advanced
Yeah,
topic. But it's
yeah,
also
it's
great
complex.
to just ask it to an expert directly to know more about it. And by the way, do you know what happened to Gitcoin? Is it like still alive? Because since last year we don't hear too much about them.
Yeah, they're still alive. Actually, we are gonna run an experiment with them. I think it's or at least there's a proposal, I think, from Milwaukee to for Gitcoin to use Octant and start progressively put their treasury into Octant vaults. So I think the next epoch, the next round is gonna be um, somehow using Octant vaults for the funding. So you should hear from them soon.
Nice, nice. All right. Um, Any question? Don't hesitate. Anyway, it was super nice to deep dive into it. Especially it's Kinta's the first time they have a project demo. And so we will host more like more things like this. Because it's always important as builder to have a project vision as well, to know how the project's working under the hood. Literally, not just coding.
Yeah, exactly. No, thank you so much, Celine, for inviting me, and thank you all for coming and listening to this talk, and for your great questions as well. Super great to be here.
There's a question here.
Um, Julia is asking, what were the projects from Octant Hackathon that stand out? There were a bunch of projects. There were a few that combined AI a little bit to figure out some of the allocation and DeFi strategies. I think there were some um, kind of relatively simple implementations, but very clean implementations of DeFi strategies, and that was awesome. What else? What else? Um, I think let me find the link to in the folio. You should be able to see the winners, and there were a few that we were like really sad that they didn't get a prize because they were so good, but there were some projects that just knocked it out of the park. Yeah, so if you go here, you will see the top projects that won prizes.
Also, question. This year is like I remember last year it was around creators narrative. Do you have any other narrative for this year?
Good question. We don't know yet. What I can drop you some alpha about Epoch 11 actually. Epoch 11 is gonna be a migration epoch. So we're gonna move everything that used to work in V1 to V2. And for that, we will need our users to unlock their GLM from V1 and lock it into V2. So so yeah, that's what's gonna happen. And afterwards, we're still deciding how it's gonna look like, but it's gonna be very experimental. So we'll figure it out. I would love to have a sort of like education round where Dev3 Pack can participate, but I cannot promise anything.
Yeah, I remember this year, like 2025, and also this year, Shifa has been selected, which is nice.
Yeah, they were also in the best of the best, like in Impact 10.
Oh,
So that was super cool. Yeah.
cool. All right, all right. So if no more questions, we will not retain Nico. Um, so I will put the session on YouTube for on the masterclass playlist, and all good. You will see Nico in some events because it's flying a lot.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to come to me if you see me around at some conferences. The next ones are gonna be East Denver probably and ECC.
Yeah.
So hope to see some of you there. Solina, are you gonna be there?
Not East Denver. I was used to go there. But for now, but it's yes. Looks like not too many people will go to East Denver. But
Yeah,
it's also about the budgets. Like, I mean, no one putting any budget on events right now. So that's also,
that's true.
yep.
But ECC should be good, and Sid Wildman is gonna be there as well. So see you there.
Yeah, could you send me the slides also?
Yeah, absolutely. I will export them and send them to you.
Super. Thanks a lot. And yeah, see you at any event.
Perfect. See you around. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Bye,
Nico.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.